Hi everyone, this is the next section, 1.4 of integrated 3 KC7 on radical and rational form. Now we've already discussed rational form and rational graphs with rational exponents, and now we're focusing more on radicals. Okay, remember that a radical is this little root symbol, so we call this a radical or a root. Okay, so usually we say square roots or cube roots, depending on what this number is, which is our index number. Okay, this x, or this big number, our base, is called the radicand. And then m would be our exponent. Okay, so we need to know really the index number and the exponent to write this in rational form. Okay, so we can go back and forth between the two. So if you can see, we can go back and forth between radical and rational. And to do that is your radicand is your base now. And then your rational exponent, you're going to have a fraction up here. It's going to be m over n, where m, again, is your exponent. So this now becomes your numerator. And n is your index, which will become your denominator. Always. Okay, so m, where your exponent is on top, index is on the bottom. That is your fraction. Okay, so we're going to go back and forth between converting rational to radicals and radicals to rational. Okay, so for example number 1, I have the square root, or not the square root, I'm sorry, 16 to the 1/3 power. Again, so this 1 would be my m, this 3 would be my n. So this is actually the cubed root, because that's my index, of 16 to the 1st power. This is my final answer, and I'm done. That's all you're doing. You're going back and forth. I'm not telling you to evaluate and plug this into your calculator. I just want you to rewrite it. Okay, so let's go ahead and try B. So I have x, my root, and my index would be 5. And then my 2 would be my exponent, which is my final answer. That's it. Now C, be careful with C. A lot of students will say, well, this is 6x 12th root to the 11th power. This is incorrect. Okay? And I want you to write this because this is, again, a common misconception. Okay? This is actually not being applied to the 6 because it does not have parentheses, which means that that 11 to the 12th power is only being done to the x. So 6 is going to stay on the outside, and then I'm going to have that 12th root of x to the 11th power. This is my final answer. Okay, so be careful. Go ahead and pause the video and try letter D. Okay, so if you'll notice that I do have parentheses around the 12y, so that means that 12y is all inside the root. Exponent is 3, root is 2, and I'm done. All right, now we're going back the other direction. Now we're going to convert this, or these examples, into a rational form. So our final answer is going to have a exponent that is a fraction. Okay, so now letter A, I have the cube root of 4. I do not have an exponent here, but I need one. And remember, if there is no exponent written on there, it is an invisible 1. So this is really 4 to the 1/3 power, because my exponent becomes my numerator, my root becomes the denominator. And that's it. Okay, letter B, I have x to the, my exponent is 5, index is 7, so 5 over 7. Letter C, so I have 8y to the 3/2 power. Now be careful. Okay, notice that the 8 is also in the root, so I do need parentheses here. Okay, if you do not put parentheses, that is not the same thing, and that would be wrong. Now, D is a little harder. Okay, now you see that you have multiple things inside and multiple exponents. Now, when that happens, you are going to rewrite this as one thing instead of 3 separate things, because I have an 8, I have a 5, or x to the 5th, and I have a y to the 9th. That's 3 different terms on there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I am going to put this around parentheses, and the exponent of the whole thing is 1. So I'm going to rewrite this as 8x to the 5th, y to the 9th, to the 1/3 power. Remember, this is my exponent, which is my m. This is my n. So this becomes 1/3. Then I am going to distribute this 1/3 to all 3 of my terms. So I have 8 to the 1/3 times x to the 5th times 1/3 times y to the 9th times 1/3. Okay, now be careful. At this point right here, this is not 8 times 1/3. It's 8 to the 1/3 power. So on your TI Inspire, you're going to use that caret key, that upside down V on the left side of the calculator, and put 1 divided by 3 to get that exponent. Okay, this is then going to give you 2 when you plug it in. Now, it's not the same, and here I multiplied because they are both exponents, so I can do that. 5 times 1/3 is just 5 over 3. We're going to simplify it as much as possible. Do not change this to a proper fraction. We're going to leave it as an improper fraction. And then the y, 9 times 1/3 is 9 over 3, which is just 3 when you divide. So this is my final answer. Okay, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and try letter E. So I'm going to put a 1, and then I'm going to rewrite this. 81 x to the 8th, y to the 6th, to the 1/4 power, and distribute everything. So I have 81 to the 1/4, x to the 8th times 1/4, y to the 6th times 1/4. Plug 81 to the 1/4 into the calculator, and you get 3. 8 times 1/4 is just 2, and 6 times 1/4 is just 3. So my final answer is 3x squared y to